Hi everyone, I'm Darren Eisenberg and thanks for joining Synergy Effect for this presentation by Jaquie Scammell on service mindset. Now, no matter what your industry, no matter what the state of the economy, businesses have known for a long time that getting customer service not only right, but making it an automatic way of thinking is something well worth investing in. And it really is worth the price, as Sally Grono, who's the customer service manager at Welsh Water, put it. Good customer service always costs less than bad customer service. So we are fortunate to be able to hear some thoughts on the matter from Jaquie, who is one of Australia's leading experts on customer service. Now, as it turns out, Jaquie is also a qualified yoga and meditation teacher, and each year she spends at least 1 month learning and practicing with monks and worldly teachers. In fact, I believe last year she took a class in levitation and became so good that she went straight to the top of her class. Now, Jaquie brings the humanity back to customer service so that you can make even your most difficult customers feel like they're at home, even when you wish that's where they were. So please enjoy listening to Jaquie Scammell.
If I asked you to think of one person who has had the greatest impact in helping you become the person you are today, who comes to mind for you? For me, it's this guy. A man who knows what it means to be in service. His name's Philip, and he was called up in 1968 to serve in Vietnam. He was part of the 161 reconnaissance flight, and he was a gunner. His role was to sit in the helicopter and shoot at the enemy. I mean, can you imagine? This was a 19-year-old boy who was a barber by trade. The only close shave he'd ever encountered was actually a close shave, and now he was being asked to do the unthinkable. But he, like many, accepted the call of duty, and he saved many lives. You know, just think about it. You're going about your day today and you're told that you have to leave your family, your friends, the safety of this environment. And your job now is to no longer follow your own dreams. Your job now is to serve your country. And Philip, to many, was a hero. And when he returned, he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. For many years, he couldn't hold down a job. Eventually, his marriage fell apart and he was half the man that he once was. And I know his story well because he's my dad. On the upside, and there's always an upside, this experience showed my dad the importance of real service. It gave him a deep sense of purpose and pride. And I'm so grateful because Dad passed that love of service on to me. And in my work, this is, in my opinion, the heart and soul of all success. So why do we leave success to chance? Because the truth is, service is simple. It starts with culture, and it begins in the minds of leaders. Companies like these, they have a reputation for delivering exceptional service. And what they each have in common is that they develop the mindset of leaders first. And we've made it so complicated. You know, studies have shown that only 10% of corporate training is effective, which means 90% is not. So why is this? Because companies are not laying the proper groundwork first to make the most out of what is being taught. And what exactly is it that we're teaching people when it comes to service? Because from my 20 years of experience in leading large teams and welcoming millions of customers through the gates of some global events, I've learned that there's only one rule when it comes to service. And that rule is to use good judgment in any situation that's critical to a customer. So how do we do this? How do we get employees to use good judgment and to care every single shift, every single interaction? What are the skills that we need to teach our staff to remove obstacles from customers and leave them better than we found them? Well, if I was to offer up one skill that we could teach people to help them adapt so they get the best service outcomes, it would be social intelligence. And it's kind of like the ability to get along with others and get them to cooperate with you. I think of it like the zooming in and out of the lens of a camera. You know when to need to zoom into something and when you need to back it up a bit. You don't just point and shoot if you want a quality picture. You know what to look for and how to adjust to get that best quality image. So how do we get hundreds, if not thousands of staff to apply those social intelligence skills, those skills of care every single time? Because it only takes one person to have a bad day, right? And like it or not, How a customer feels about an interaction with one employee is how a customer feels about a brand itself. And we can all relate to this. Your telco provider, they ring you and they say they'll be there at 4 o'clock and they don't turn up. How do we feel? We feel let down and forgotten. Or what about when you're on a flight on the way over and the flight attendant, they're a little bit narky? What do we say? That airline is the worst. You could be doing 100 things right as a business, but it only takes one moment to destroy that trust through lack of consistency. So let's explore consistency. Do you really care as a customer that every time you go to that same brand, that same store, that it's exactly the same experience every time? Maybe. I think what we care more about is that every time we go to that same familiar brand or store, that we feel good every time we're there. And this is what I would refer to as a consistent quality experience. You know, I go to a cafe 4 blocks from my apartment in the city, and to get there, I have to pass 7 cafes. Now, I go there for less about the coffee and more about the conversation. And don't get me wrong, the coffee needs to be good. That's expected. But what I go back for is the fact that they remember my name, they remember my order. It's like the staff have got a CRM database in their brains and they remember everything the minute they see my face. And so I'm not buying coffee, I'm buying connection. This is a small thing, but a big impact. We ask a lot from our staff. You know, we induct them, there's compliance, training, skills, processes. We ask them to retain a lot of information. It's no wonder we see inconsistent service in organisations. Decades ago, McDonald's used to teach us the 6 steps of service. I still remember it to this day. Smile and greet the customer, take the order, repeat back the order, assemble the order, take the money and thank the customer. Well, that worked back then. This repetitive, transactional, consistent, robotic type of service was how we used to describe best practice. But society has evolved through the generations and we no longer want this treatment. We can get this repetitive, transactional, consistent service from a tablet, a kiosk, a machine, a robot. What we're asking humans who are serving humans is to connect, to make it unique, make it a personal interaction, make it meaningful, make someone's day. So this is why the 6 steps are no longer needed. And in many ways, what we're asking our people is to remember the things that we all learned when we were 5 years old. And my niece, she's 5 years old, she's got a 2-year-old sister and she's got this down pat. She spends her days, you know, sharing her fruit, taking her hand, making sure that she feels safe and feel loved. And I think if a 5-year-old can do it, there's hope for us all, right? So it's not that we don't know how to serve, it's just that we've forgotten. Us clever adults, we've been conditioned to apply logic, systems, processes, rules, to be so damn efficient in our roles that we're overthinking service and we're losing those very qualities that make us uniquely human. And you know those qualities, those subtle, small moments, those jaw-dropping, beautiful moments that only a human can deliver. So we have to stop training people to serve. So how do we do this? How do we develop a service mindset in leaders? Well, first, we need to be present. Why? Because leaders need to be able to see the little things in people, in your people. You know, leaders, your job is to look for what's in people's DNA, their essence, their source. Look what's inside your staff and remind them. It's time to wake up, shake things up, serve your staff the way you want them to serve their customers. Because employees are no different to customers. We all want and need the same things. Dr. John Dewey, an American philosopher, once said that the deepest urge of any human is the desire to feel important. We all want this. Every human you interact with shares that same desire. Do you see me? Do you hear me? And does what I say mean anything to you? So making time for your employees, get to know their why, their motivations, encourage them to use their personalities, encourage them to bring their human qualities to interactions is the role of a leader in service. And secondly, to develop a service mindset, We need to be able to practice the little things 100% of the time because service starts with you. Dad always taught me that in order for you to change your world, first, you change yourself. In fact, Dad used to make my brothers and I stand on newspaper in the lounge room floor every Sunday night before school. And we'd stand there with our school shoe in one hand and polish in the other, and none of this wet tube stuff that you wipe on and it dries in a few seconds. No, we had to learn to rub dubbin, then polish, and then give it a good brush all over to bring out the shine. Because he believed that big wins begin with small disciplines. And the way you present yourself to the world determines your results. And to this day, we practice this process and we encourage staff to follow this process because if you're going to deliver exceptional service, you have to prepare yourself. You have to practice the little things. You've got to look the part to feel the part. You have to polish your shoes first because as leaders, we are always being observed. Employees mimic your behaviours and that's how they serve customers. What we're talking about is emotional contagion. We affect more than we can possibly know. Every mood, every thought, every word, every gesture, you change your lives and the universe. If you want your staff to change the way they serve, it has to start with you. You know, if we go back to where we started this conversation, I asked you to think of one person who's had the biggest impact in helping you become the person you are today. Well, here's an idea. What if you were that person for someone else? A team member, a customer. Leaders are the largest contributors of any service culture in an organisation. You may not have direct contact with customers every day, but you have direct contact with your staff who have contact with customers every day, and that counts for everything. So consider when teaching people to care, how are you showing up? Are you making it easy for people to follow you? After all, that's what you were hired to do.